guest that is the only person below White Holiday in the Comicsgate phone book. It's my favorite failed clone of Peter Sametti. The YouTube WyzGyz. How you doing, Conrad? Welcome to the show.
Hello. I'm WyzGyz Entertainment. This is your host, Wyman. We are joined today by Cody of Ironverse Comics. How's it going, man?
It's going well. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure. I don't know if you're at all familiar with anything that was in that intro, but there's a group of comic creators as well and content creators in the UK that in my early days of my channel, you know, I'd have them on my channel frequently for their campaigns. And sometimes I'd be on their shows and stuff. And, you know, they're really great people. So it was always a hoot streaming with them.
Got it.
I'm going to just drop a quick little note here on Twitter reminding people we are live.
All right.
So good to have you finally. I know it's been
yeah, indeed.
So I this is your very first time here, and I appreciate you taking the time to come out here. One, I don't know if you're familiar, but on my channel, one of the things I like to do on promotional streams is kind of get the quote unquote origin story. So, for example, what were you into when you were younger? Were you into toys, comics, movies, cartoons, action figures? And what were the major milestones or events in your life and career that led you down this path that led to you becoming an independent creator?
Oh, right on. Well, there's a lot of meat there, and I like that question. Series of questions in a way, but I like that. All right, so let's the start. Only child, born up in the southern Rockies in northern New Mexico. Grew up among animals. Grew up with son of a biker hippie who was part of the lost generation, so an older fella, and a business lady from California. They found their way here, had me, and so I've been here up in Taos for a long time. It's one of our kind of sayings here, wabi sabi. It's where the East meets the West. It's got there's 3 pillars of cultures around here, 4 pillars. And kind of growing up in that kind of section has provided a lot to the work. But let's go more pop culture wise. The first toys I really remember really enjoying were Transformers. Mix of puzzles and action figures were a deadly combination for my young mind. You always feel that when you're little, especially, you always feel that sense of satisfaction once you figure out how they transform and you can get them both ways, right? And that was a big influence, that sense of satisfaction. And then, of course, you get into the cartoons and all of that. And then another big one that actually bleeds into Jack Irons quite a bit, and Ironverse Comics overall, was Samurai Jack was a massive one. But G.I. Joe, I spent a lot of time with, and in particular, knockoff G.I. Joes. You know, coming from a less affluent background, that the knockoffs have their own personality, and it was fun interacting with that as well. So from there, right, got into video games, of course, young, played a lot. First video game I remember playing was Pokemon Blue. But going from there into what directly led to content creation and what led to Jack Irons, because it really is my first and only true creative passion, Ironverse Comics overall, which came from that concept. But really Jack Irons itself was this. First, I fell in love with comics with Ghost Rider Road to Damnation by Garth Ennis and Clayton Crane. Particularly Clayton Crane's art was something I had never seen anything like. I mean, close to maybe old Renaissance paintings would give me like a kind of a, not that he's like that level, but that vibe of hyper detail and expressionism in something. And then I saw that in comics, and it really opened my eyes to the potential of comics. And then with Garth Ennis's humor and the themes he tends to tackle, that really kept me hooked in. And during that, throughout my formative years, I'd write plays, I'd write short stories. And when I found out how comics operate, which is kind of however they can get done, coupled with the possibilities I saw in the medium, I knew that's kind of the medium I wanted to tackle, at the very least, to have fun with the scripting. It allowed me an outlet. And then from there, as I grew, Jack Irons itself came out of the growing awareness of the human experience, the human condition, history, and having to bear those weights as you find out what it is to be human as you get older, right? And all the different angles and what weights you need to bear, what weights you don't need to bear, all of those things. And really, he was just like a coping mechanism to kind of explore those things in a caricature form, something more easily worked with than the pure heavy truth. And so through that, for years, I had these scripts and I just kind of wrote them because it was an exploratory thought piece for myself. But over time, tragedy struck my life at some point, a bit after high school, and that tragedy gave me a bit of an opportunity, and I decided to make a blessing out of a tragedy and see if I could do something with these scripts and ideas that I had held on to for so long. And so in that, I decided, you know what? Well, make comics. So I started researching what that is, and a big one that people look at, how to break into comics. And the number one thing I'd always come across, which isn't that helpful, but is absolute truth, is the only way to break into comics is to make comics. And so you find that, and you're kind of like looking at it, figuring that out. Like, what does that mean? How do you make them then? Like, if that's the next step. And so when I found out there's no real rigid scripting, then I was like, okay, well, I just need to find, since I'm not much of an artist, and I sadly have not had the discipline to teach myself much beyond very, very basic artistic renderings, that I need to find a partner. I need to find somebody. And so I started exploring that on the internet and just kind of trying to find what I could. I would reach out to a couple artists via a couple different methods. Reddit was one of them. And these artists would not be very helpful in terms of like, I have no idea what I'm doing, right? And so if I'm doing things wrong, it's helpful to at least know you're doing things wrong. But these folks would just ghost. They would just ghost. And so that taught me something, to be fair, is that for one, I'm probably doing something wrong. And two, well, this method isn't going to work for me. And so that's when I decided, I'm in this wonderful area. It's a very artistically driven community. I bet there's somebody out here I can at least meet and talk to about it. And at the very least, I'll learn something. And so I did the one method because I had some positive, at least, business dealings through Craigslist before. And so I put out an ad. I just put out an ad. And eventually I got a response from one Maxi Dallo, an Argentinian artist who comes up through Santa Fe because he has family up there and he has friends up here. And just the timing worked out. And I was able to meet him, see his portfolio. He was a couple years younger than me. And he was more being in Argentina doesn't have a comics industry. They have a lot of wonderful talents, but they don't have like a business backbone there for that. So he was working in children's books, which they do have a bit of an industry in there, and he was working in teaching. And so, but he loves comics. He loves manga. He loves that form of expression. He was doing storyboards as well for a production company in Santa Fe at that point. And so, I mean, he was definitely in that sphere, and it was just kind of a passion that he didn't get much of an opportunity for. And I think he saw in Jack when we were sharing, and we met at a McDonald's, I shared my really loose scripts and he shared his beautiful portfolio. I still don't know what he saw. And then I gave him the budget I had, and he still accepted to do it, which my budget was very unrealistic. He still didn't tell me that, but over time I figured that out very much, and what a blessing and a gift it was. But within that, we've been working together since. It's been about 7 years, and we got the line art done for issue number 1. And then from there, I tried to do again the break into comics thing. So I tried the traditional publishing route. I lettered it myself, which I thought it wasn't bad, but it was terrible lettering. It was terrible lettering. I found that out later as well from an actual letterer. But I did the publishing rounds, tried to pitch and all that, and I got one response from one guy who said, "Well, I enjoyed the read, but it's not the kind of material we publish." And it was a UK publisher. And then like none of the big publishers, you're more likely to get ghosted these days, and unless I guess something blows their mind and they just have to get it. So that taught me as well, as that like, well, I'm going to have to do this myself. So I tried to run a crowdfunder to fund line art for issue number 2. I put up issue number 1 with my poor lettering onto Tapastic, because I always tried to go the alternative sources. I didn't really want to jump on Webtoon. I was like, let's try something else, something smaller, so that maybe I could stand out more. And it was up there for a bit, shared it, didn't get much traction. I did the crowdfunding thing for one, got $10 before during its first 60 days. That was like, okay, well, this isn't working. So then I bit the bullet on something I never wanted to do, which was social media. And I joined about 2018, early 2018, where there was this growing awareness and desire for independent creator-owned works. A lot of doors were getting kicked open. A lot of hoopla was going on. And I was able to point people to a completed book as well as a crowdfunding campaign and learn as I go. And so through that second campaign, we found a publisher, a beautiful colorist, Matthias Laborde, found us and wanted colored a piece as fan art. And then I pulled the trigger on asking him if he wanted to work on the book. And we added that as a stretch goal. And of course we made that stretch goal. The publisher, of course, found us, and we were able to offer print copies partway through the campaign to anybody who backed at a certain price level. So we had to actually manually collect all the dresses that first campaign. That first campaign, if anybody's curious and wants to go back and look at it, it is wild. I've never seen a campaign as loosely run as we were able to, and then as successfully delivered. From that, we also found a wonderful letterer who then had to move on before the second issue. Matthias Laborde also had to move on before the second issue. So he finished issue number 1, but between that, he was a professional colorist for Boom and IDW and quite a few other places, but it just was not feeding his family. So he went back to a corporate job. And so sadly he had to step away from comics because of that. And it's always sad to hear that when it's a magnificent talent like him. If you look at issue number 1, it's beautiful. And so during that process, we released issue number 1 and we shipped it out to backers internationally. And then we're working on issue number 2. We're getting the line art done. And Maxie and I are looking for a colorist to step into those incredible shoes. And so that was that added a good bit of time, 3-4 months. We're trying out different colorists. I'm being the project manager, being like, well, we gotta get this done soon because we got to get this second book out to folks. And Maxie's like, we got to get the right colorist on my lines, please. And so eventually I'm like, yeah, it's better to get it right, especially since we're doing this kind of the first time than to rush it out with something, a team that isn't as cohesive as it should be. So eventually we found Stephen Cannon, and he's been with us since, and he's done issue 2 and 3. Beautiful colorist as well. He has his own sort of flavor. He took the vibrancy that Matthias kind of put into our original books, but he made it his own. He has more of almost a Western kind of tonality and texturing to the work that Matthias didn't. Matthias's work felt a little bit more science fiction, a little bit cleaner. We found another letter as well, Vincent Rush. He did a beautiful line art piece, fan art piece, and I had seen that he was doing his own comics, and I saw his lettering. I was like, hey, do you want to letter our book? Partially because I wanted to work with him on another book down the line because of his beautiful line art, but also because he was a very cool cat. And so he's been lettering our work since. And that's a large part of the journey. There's more to go with for issue number 3, which was another insane journey. So after we deliver 2, I start going for issue 3, and then this whole pandemic hits right after I set it up, and that takes a big hit on our campaign. Pushing it hard. We get about 62% funding last 2 days, and I'm like, okay, well, a lot of dynamics have changed anyway because of this. So it's all right. I can take a breath, take a breather, reassess, and see how we need to do this. And then our fan base goes ahead and says, no, you're making this book. And we fund that last 40%. So about 4K the last 2 days of our campaign.
Whoa.
And so that, yeah, it blows me away. I was ready. I had prepared myself. I was like, it's okay. We're just going to breathe. We'll reassess this, see how the world's moving, all that. And then the fan base is like, nope, you're making this. And so we made it. It took a little bit of time. The dynamics had changed during that period. So it was a little bit of an adjustment. It took me some time to secure fundage for that. And then 2021 hit, and it was an awful year for a lot of people. Me not, definitely not excluded. Folks who had followed that campaign kind of know what had occurred. We finished delivering the end of last year, which was a bit late, but again, it was some extraneous circumstances, but we got it to everybody. We got everything to everybody. And I was ready to run another one for issue 4, but our wonderful talents got a lot of awareness between the first couple releases, and so they were a bit booked. And their page weights went up. And so timing this year is what's worked out. And that's when you look at our campaign goal for issue number 4, that's funding them. That's keeping them at their professional rate to keep them in the industry, for one. I don't want another Matthias. These talents are incredible. They should be doing this. This is what they owe. This is what the world needs from them. And so I've just been hitting the pavement since. It's been an incredible journey that I've only been allowed to do because of wonderful people like yourself and like chat here and like all of our incredible backers the last couple times. Our peak backers with issue number 3 was about 460, which was not too shabby. This go, it's looking a bit quieter, but we have more big spenders. So I don't know, but I'm getting out there and getting the word out that we're continuing to face Galactic Armageddon, and we of course need your help to do it. It's the only way it happens.
Of course, yeah, for sure. It's all about the audience. Welcome, LDG from Geeks and Joy.
Welcome.
Thanks for being here. Welcome, Metal Movies and Brewskis. Hail, Chad, WyzGyz and Cody. Good to have you guys. Just some assorted random questions.
Oh, please.
Did I hear you right? Did you use the term wabi-sabi or wabu-sabi?
Wabi-sabi, if I remember correctly.
And remind me again what that is exactly?
It's a term for when East meets West.
Okay, so it's not necessarily specific to a particular industry.
No, not at all. It's just kind of a phrasing around the parts where I'm at. You'll see it a lot when we're talking about art around this area, but it's a lot of different things because we're a mountain community where a lot of different cultures kind of collide, and that was just one of the area's kind of expressions to state that.
Gotcha. All right. You were talking about G.I. Joes earlier.
Yes.
Did you actually? I got into them back when they were the 3¼ inch figures were popular. 3 3/4, I guess. Did you actually collect any of the 12-inch Joes?
I did when I was little. I got a couple of them. I don't remember them, and I don't really have them anymore, so I couldn't tell you which ones I got. I do remember a classic, like during the first Desert Storm. I had one of those figures that they were kind of putting out because I remember the camouflage very well, and it was definitely more military based and less of the character based GI Joe figures. And then what the hardcore little 3 1/4 figures? They're like $10, and you get like 4 or 5 3/4, 3 3/4 inch figures. Like I went through those as a kid, like all the time. They were like the little knockoffs again that were through there, and then man, I had a lot of fun with those figures. Little rubber, pivot points in the joints that would break real easy.
True injuries to your figures.
Yes.
You did a lot of script writing growing up. So was it one of those things where did you actually take any formal classes? Did you read books in the library about script writing? Did you take any classes in high school or college for script writing?
Nope. Nope. I've been self-taught in everything. I did music for like 6 years. I was in a metal
Oh,
band for about 6 years in high school. Comics
wow.
were during that, but then like pivoting to it was when that phase kind of had taught me everything it needed to, and those projects didn't move much further. The if folks watch our trailers or like listen to my streams and such, Ironverse Comics on YouTube, if anybody's interested, then you'll hear Laguna Munta, a wonderful independent rocker. He's my oldest friend, and he was the lead of the bands I was in of
Oh,
that. And so we've kept that history, we've kept together for that, but we've taken different paths creatively on that end. He's released 2 independent albums himself. Wonderful expression. You won't find corporate music with that much heart. It's very hard. That's what I love about the independent scene artistically,
Mhm.
period, is that
Yeah,
those
for sure.
shackles are gone, and you can tell these people do it because of their passion, because it's not an easy road doing any kind of independent art. You can feel the passion, you can feel the heart and the enjoyment of the work in it. Whereas a lot of corporate stuff, you can feel that they are making a paycheck. They are doing it
mhm.
out of obligation. Some are very good at doing both, no question, but that is the exception more than the rule in those cases, in my experience. Of course, experience may vary, but so that's been kind of that bit. But I was a self-taught musician, self-taught creative writing. I lean more towards, if folks read my books, more poetic, vocabulary based writing than prose and very specific types of storytelling. I have a direction and a theme I want to explore, and I will do so with as much interest and fun and sometimes humor as I can. But I also will be presenting a caricature of usually a very harsh truth, and so that's kind of how I approach these things. But if you look at my scripts, and I've looked at many different comic scripts, most folks, I could honestly say I've never seen 2 writer scripts looking, I mean, they'll have similarities, but none are the same in how they format, in my experience, especially in the independent scene. Most people are just doing it how they feel they can do it and what communicates to the artist. And that, again, is what appealed to me with comics, is that as long as the result is good, the process to get there it is a collaborative effort. And so there's a lot of give and take. And I'm sure every facet of it could be tightened, could be tweaked, could be done better. But again, as long as it gets done, especially in independence, I applaud. I applaud it every time.
When you were writing your scripts, were you the type who, you know, wrote stuff in notebooks, paper notebooks, or did you do it all on computer?
It was Notepad mainly, and then like when I went to see Maxie the first time, I had printed them out. At times, I had printed them out to kind of just do those hand edits, but I would type it. I would type it. I have terrible handwriting, and so you know, I've had journals for different cases, right, more personal cases, but for actual writing, I find a keyboard to just be my preferred method to get the ideas down.
How did you know while writing scripts that comics were the way to go versus novels or poetry or um, movies or TV?
Yeah. Right. So movies and TV were a heavier goal. It's a lot more competition, in my opinion. It's a lot harsher as well. It's seen as a maybe a loftier goal than comics, right? But for me, again, it was once I saw the versatility of expression and the potential of comics to do a lot of things and to tell a lot of stories that couldn't be told in other mediums. It hooked me. It hooked me. Poetry, of course, I'm always a fan of that. Prose writing, for me, you end up, I mean, you don't have to, but if you're trying to write a novel or stuff, you will find yourself filling space more than telling a story. It's less direct. It's less, there's a lot, some people are really good at it. Some people have great flow, but you can tell a lot of authors that are literally just filling pages. And I can see how you can fall into that trap. And it wasn't a trap I wanted to deal with at all. And comics, you don't have to deal with that. Screenwriting, of course, you can do that. Playwriting, you can do that. You can do a lot what you can do with comics in terms of cutting fat and just communicating what you need to, which is important to me. But again, I never really had aspirations to do. I did a lot of playwriting because I like the dialogue, setting, scene kind of setup of storytelling.
Yeah,
But it was never something practically I wanted to deal with in terms of like setting and figuring out how an actor could actually portray this, all of those things. Whereas if you're working with an artist, they can help figure out a lot of that. They become a co-storyteller, if not the primary storyteller. And so that relationship really appeals to me as well with comics, how the collaborative effort manifests. Whereas like a screenwriter can give it to a director, and director can completely change everything and how it was communicated and everything. And that was another angle I didn't really want to deal with. So comics felt like it was the right amount of intimacy, the right amount of ability to communicate, and the right type of collaboration that would work for me. And so that's why it stuck with me, and I've stuck with it for about 16 years at this point.
Oh my gosh. It's been that long?
Yeah, since Jack. Since
Wow.
right. Yeah. 4 years since getting published, getting physical books out. Again, about 7 with Maxi, getting the original issue #1's art done, and then there was a few years pitching to publishers, of course. So I would say I've been like actively pursuing the industry for about 7, but I've been pursuing Jack for about 16.
Wow, nice. And you were using different sources initially to find talent. You mentioned Reddit, Craigslist. Did you find one work better than the other, or was there even another platform that was even more helpful in your opinion? Like some people, to seek out talent, they use Facebook groups and look for areas that are like groups of comic book people, creatives. Some people use like was it Fiverr?
Yep, that's another option.
Some go to the various websites like DeviantArt and places like that.
For me personally, like I think the Craigslist one was just almost divine intervention. No, it was a very blessing. It was a crazy coincidence to meet this wonderful talent. Like there's nobody else who could have handled this story like he did, and continues to. But past that, right, when I joined social media, I found a lot of basically all the other talent that I've worked with. And I've worked with quite a bit of talent, from pinups to again printing to every aspect of getting a comic book to folks, fulfillment, all of those bits I've met through Twitter primarily, and through direct interactions, through liking somebody's art and then finding another artist I like through that, or all those things, and meeting people, being professional, providing like a customer service based bit, and just providing interest, support, and promotion for other independent creators. That gratitude can be very, very useful. And it can be a wonderful tool, and pay it forward often comes back to you. It's been a fact of life in a lot of ways, and that's how I approach a lot of the social media. So personally, that's worked for me. But when I started out, there was no like direct bit. Again, there was I dove in head first, and I'm lucky I didn't smash my head. I jumped into the deep end of the pool. Let's just say I lucked out. I didn't just smash at the bottom, right? So I had some time to kind of figure out where I am, find my orientation, and then swim back up and catch some air. Some people aren't so lucky. Some people get in a really bad collaborative effort because it looked good, sounded good, or was within budget, right? So there's always that risk. And I definitely recommend folks, when you're dealing with the chaos of the internet, to protect your heart. In my case, my art, protect that, and make sure that what you're dealing with and who you're dealing with is right for what you're trying to do, and making sure that you're right in taking care of them and making sure that works, because that'll allow you more opportunities to work with more wonderful people, as I've been able to. And in terms of like basic platforms, that's how I did it, was mainly that awareness from Twitter, and that foot base that I was able to make from those direct interactions, and that gratitude, and sharing the book directly to folks. That's what did it for me. But there's new places too. There's a talent marketplace on Global Comics that I recommend checking out. You can actually get free legal consultation on any collaborative effort that you are becoming a part of through their website. Kind of covers their butt, but also allows you to kind of get a feeling of what's going on, making sure that who you're working with, it understands what the level is, what the basis is. So that's a great source I recommend. I've had a lot of great luck providing my work for free on Global Comics since. A very very supportive, creative community on that site. But
I'm sorry, the site again is Global Comics?
Yes, Comics with an X. Comics with an X. Global Comics. They're relatively new to the scene, but they've been able. They have a subscription service where you pay it monthly, right, and then you get access to their library. And then that subscription fee, what you paid in, is only distributed between Global Comics, its percentage, and then the creators you actually read, which is kind of nice. So you pay, you pay your fee, and then it goes directly to only what you're reading, not the whole platform. It's not that bit. I mean, a percentage does for the running and the back end, but and they've been able to they've snagged Heavy Metal, they've snagged Red 5, a lot of the Source Point Press. I think they got some IDW on there recently, Top Cows on there. So the library is like, it's relatively like well-known folks that are on there, and Jack, since the last couple of years, have been kicking their ass. But no, he's been up there for a while, Jack, and so I've loved that platform for that, and they've been grateful to me. And the CEO / programmer who runs the site is extremely, like, he wants to provide the most creator-oriented platform, because he believes if he takes care of the creators, then the work will take care of the site. It'll attract readers. It'll do what needs to be done. And so when I found that as a digital platform, I was hooked, and I'm always going to boost them. So even the Jack that you read free off of our site on ironversecomics.com, you are reading it off of Global Comics. Otherwise, like, and again, they have that talent marketplace with the legal attached to it, which is nice. But that whole journey is very personal. The Miyamoto Musashi quote that's come to my mind again and again, being in comics, is there, you must understand there is no one path up the mountain. So, if your way isn't what this other successful creator's way is, right, it's not their path. Well, for one, it was never going to be, but for two, don't be disheartened by that. Make sure you're tackling these things as you need to. Don't try too hard to emulate other folks, because at the end of the day, it's going to be a unique experience for you, your team, and your project. So adapt. Don't get too rigid, and just have fun. That's a big one too. You can lose a lot of heart for this endeavor if you're not finding fulfillment in it, and if you're trying to bang your head against the wall of success instead of bang your head against the wall of creation. There is a difference, and I find for me, what's kept me in it so long is the fulfillment of the creation, not so much the desire and drive for absolute success.
Right on. Let's check out this cool campaign here, Jack Irons. So obviously you've got great looking art. Let's play the trailer here.
Please do. Please do.
Sweet.
There you go. There you go.
Now, hopefully it's not a spoiler, but is he effectively like an android?
No, sir. No cybernetics involved. So that's part of the design. That's been a topic that's needed explanation a few times, and I can see why. But no, it is a cloth-like metal there's a whole universal justification for it. It's called Cactus. We do get into it, but in issue 3, we did resolve that. You see Jack fully naked after he gets quote unquote killed, and fully naked. I mean, he's in his underwear, but you see him clean as a person with a gut. He's a person, but no, it is not. Basically, the elevator pitch for Jack is a reincarnated immortal, seeks freedom and purpose in galactic Armageddon. I use a lot of general big terms because that's kind of what we're expressing with Jack Irons. But he's reality will not let him at this point die. So no matter how he's blown up, whatever he is, reality wills him back to existence. We see that in issue number 3, and so it is a physical human body. He wears the armor more as a in issue 1. There's a quote, the kind of the 3 guiding principles I kind of work through this is all things are endless. Tenacity will get you through anything, which has been a big driving force for me for the last chunk of time. And then ain't no harm having a healthy sense of the dramatic. Same reason why he has that quote unquote horse-drawn motorcycle, even though the horses do not pull the motorcycle at all. It's flavor, it's feeling, it's theatrics, it's how he wants to present himself. He doesn't need that armor at all. Again, he's not bulletproof, but the bullets ain't gonna kill him. It's just the design necessitates a little bit of that. We wanted to communicate, it's got the Marlboro Man kind of cowboy feel, top off, biker gloves, the biker presentation, the rough and kind of tumble feel, the steel horse kind of feel. But then the armor is supposed to, and it kind of does communicate a bit of chivalry, a bit of knighthood, but it's old, it's rusted, it's beaten up. It's a knight who has been and seen very much and may no longer have that same sense of chivalry. He's not a shining knight anymore, right? That's supposed to be communicated a little bit through the character design, and I think so far it kind of is. It allows him to have that little sense of nobility to him, but perhaps fallen nobility.
Nice. Pretty cool design. I like it a lot.
Thank you.
So the excuse me, this is going to be issues 1 through 4.
Yes.
And is it basically going to be individual? Well, I'm sure we'll find out later whether it's going to be like 4 floppies or 1 perfect bound graphic. 4
floppies. The issues 1 through 3 are the remnants from previous campaigns, so there is a limited number of 1 through 3, unless you're getting digital, of course. I tried to run a campaign. Well, I did. I ran a campaign on Kickstarter to do a hardcover collection of 1, 2 through 3. We got about 6K on that, but at the time that was not enough to get it done how we wanted, so that was not successful. So I'm thinking of approaching the collected edition again, seeing how this goes. I write Jack. Each issue is self-contained, so you'll get a story arc within each single issue, but they connect, and every 3 issues it finishes that greater arc. And so we did finish the first big arc of Jack Irons with 1 through 3, which is the introductory origin arc. It tells you everything about the world, the character, and then sets him on his journey. With issue 4, we're starting the actual big meaty journey of what we're doing and diving into, as I put on there, corporate hell. We're diving into the first of the 4 horsemen's territories and seeing what kind of knowledge we can glean and come out the other side with.
Oh, nice. And I'm not very familiar with how Kickstarter works. If your campaign doesn't fund, does the website automatically refund all the backers?
So Kickstarter's different in that when you pledge, you're just pledging, and they charge you if the campaign is successful. They don't charge you otherwise.
Okay.
So yeah, they don't handle money until like the absolute last, like they need to, compared to. So some people really don't like it because then they'll get, they'll get a bunch of charges they forget about at the end of the month, right, or whatever.
Exactly.
So some folks it doesn't work, and some campaigns will like succeed, and then at that end of the month they will not have succeeded because some people just didn't have the money anymore, right? And so that's that can be a heartache. I've seen that happen to a few creators where they've barely funded, but at the end of the go, and they were funded as far as they were concerned, they just couldn't follow through it. Yeah, that's so that's a risk on Kickstarter. It's kind of rare, to be honest, but it can happen. With Indiegogo, though, you have to have the money there, and then it just sits with Indiegogo until until it's funded. And so that's its own bit. It's two different approaches, and both of them kind of have their pros and cons. I've stuck with Indiegogo. I tried Kickstarter, and we got a relative awareness on there for never being on the platform before, and having our primary audience have gotten to know us through Indiegogo. I jumped on Indiegogo, like I said before. I put Jack on Tapas instead of Webtoons because Indiegogo was like the other site. It was the alternative option, is why I chose it, and it just happened to be an alternative option for quite a few other creators. So we had that kind of vibe and that awareness there. That was very helpful. But our primary audience has been on Indiegogo. So we're back again on here. We're running for the full 60 days just because all of our successful campaigns have been those full 60 days and without the extension option. So you know exactly and can kind of plan what you want to do with it. And I've enjoyed the platform. I like the pictures on the perks quite a bit. Their analytics system I like. Kickstarter, again, is a little different, but honestly, whatever works for your project. Again, there's no one path up this mountain.
True. Yeah. I mean, the times I have used it, well, I've never used it as a creator, so I don't know the back end of either platform, but I have a preference for Indiegogo for that very payment reason that you're talking about. You know, I'd rather them take my money now while I know I have the money in the account. I don't want a surprise down the road. No,
I've heard those stories, folks. It's like at the end of the month, they got to pay a mortgage or they got to pay some other bill. And, the Kickstarter charged all right then. And they forgot about it. And then they thought they had it set up and they don't. So they got to pull it out of savings or something. And so, Kickstarter's got that surprise bit. But I think it also maybe teaches folks who are on Kickstarter a lot to pay attention to the campaign, see if it's going to fund so that you're paying attention, keep you active, right? Where Indiegogo could be fire and forget, which can be nice too, right? So pros and cons. And it's just whatever will work for you. And anybody who's doing this and doing it this way, I am all to you. Join us in this insanity.
Yeah, seriously. So issues 1 through 3, are they effectively the first printings still?
No. So the first printings, there was only about 250 of each issue. Those all went out to backers. There are no remnants. So from our first campaign, there's no remnants of the original printings. I had a different logo, a different trade dress, a different team attached, different credit page. Then we did a new printing with variant covers of issue 1 and 2, and there is only one printing of those. So it's the first printing of that variant cover that will never be reprinted. There's 500 of each of 1 and 2 and 3 of those first editions from the last campaign. That's what's available on this page. It's the remnants of that. And then our publisher did a very tiny printing with our original covers with the new trade dresses, and those are available through Wicked Publishing. At least issue 1 and 2 are. So if folks just want to go snag it, you can just go snag it through them as well if you want those covers. So very small print runs, no matter what, on what we're doing. But it's kind of different printings, right? Each campaign, if we're going to do a reprinting of a previous issue, we will do a variant cover that will be exclusive to that campaign. Okay. So it will, that's the mechanics we try and do. And with our variant covers as well, we always keep the interior artist, and we try to make sure that it is the same as we approached our original cover, which is an extra scene from the book that kind of encapsulates what's inside the book. We don't do variant covers from other artists or other bits because, in my opinion, that's an extra layer of illusion that we don't tend to engage with. But it does work for some people, and then all power to them. But it's not what I'm trying to do with this work.
Okay, let me see if I understand this right. So issues 1 through 3 are, in a sense, first printings of the variant covers. The
1 and 2,
alternate
it's a
covers?
first printing of the variants covers. Number 3, it actually is the first printing.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because number 3, like we funded it, and then that's the original cover that we're going to use for any reprintings. And then if we were to reprint it for another campaign in particular, it would get its own variant cover for that reprinting. But for right now, we only have the number 3s we printed, and these 1 and 2s are indeed the remnants from the last campaign's printing, which had a exclusive new variant cover to not only entice folks who are collectors who want, you know, to get the books again and kind of just keep up with everything we're putting out, but to also make sure that it's easy to spot what is a first printing and what is not.
Right, exactly. And then also, if you're using both platforms, Kickstarter and Indiegogo, there's some sort of rule saying that they can't be exactly the same book on both platforms, as I understand.
Yes, and so what I did and why I did it the way I did is we were doing the trade paperback, hardcover trade paperback on Kickstarter, right? So that would have had its own unique cover to go with it had that had funded.
Yep. So you've got your 31% funded out of 13,500. That's 4,266 for 71 backers.
Yeah.
Is that effectively basically to cover the cost of issue 4 almost exclusively? Anything from the talent to paying the talent to the cost of the printing to the packing materials and shipping?
Yes, it's about 64% the talent. I did a little pie chart at the bottom because you don't ever want to, because it's their deal to talk about page rates for talent. Right. So I had to amalgamate it, but it's about 64% paying the talent. And then the rest is shipping, printing, all the logistics, right? Issues 1 through 3, of course, have already been printed and are just kind of sitting there waiting for folks. So yeah, none of it's going to that stuff, just printing the pinups. I've already paid for all the pinup art, all that stuff. So we're just waiting for the go. But yeah, that is exactly what it is. It deals with the talent primarily and making sure we get that high quality printing. These are 48 page floppies, so they're a little chunkier than the average floppy. Yeah. And paying this extraordinary talent. I mean, it's getting there. Steve Cannon, the wonderful colorist, he's on multiple monthly books at this point. Maxi Dallo has done quite a few different crowdfunded projects. Some folks might be familiar with, like he did a short alongside myself in Kill Journal from Adam Lawson. Again, with Adam Lawson and Gifted Rebels, he did Kids and Monsters, the 72 pages. That was all him. He's worked with Zaid Comics on the Lost Pages. He's done shorts for them. Nice. So he's done, like, he's an incredible talent. He's worked with a lot of really cool folks. Both him and Stephen Cannon worked together for a short in Heavy Metal. I think it was Heavy Metal issue 304. They did like a 6-page short in. So they're getting around. They're getting noticed, and I mean they absolutely deserve it. And I'm just so happy they're still willing to work with me on this crazy independent, creator-owned, very specific, very niche project.
Nice. Pretty cool stuff.
Well, thank you.
Galactic Armageddon.
Yeah, it's been our tagline. It's the best way I could say it. As folks dive into the story and figure out our world's lore, particularly issue number 2, they'll understand what I'm getting at. But yeah, it is definitely a post-apocalyptic science fiction fantasy western, pretty much in that order. It deals with, again, caricatures. People can see it as social commentaries, not directly. It's more of social observation filtered through a caricature kind of lens. And as our tagline for Ironverse Comics is, when reality belongs to evil, heroes are inevitable. That's kind of our guiding principle of all the stories we're going. So we're trying to show you the darkness in a almost like a magic trick kind of way, so that it's palatable and you can understand it. But then we're showing you the light in a very real way. That's always been the goal of what I write. And then, of course, they're wonderful artistic expressions that allow it to really be seen.
Would you classify this as, or maybe partially inspired by cyberpunk types of stories?
So this specific issue, absolutely. Famine Inc. So the Four Horsemen, which are the pillars of our whole universe, all the titles that we're working on, they are Lovecraftian, almost demons, thought forms. Talpa would be another term. That they seek to perpetuate themselves and become the true reality, right? And so on Earth in particular, it was a rare case where all four of them manifested and hit a stalemate. Very rare in our universe. Most of the time it's one manifests, takes over the planet, and then joins this greater cosmic manifestation in the war for reality. On Earth, it was those three, and in issue 4, we're diving into Famine Inc. and we're exploring corporate structure, control, transhumanism, cyborg, as you're saying, cybernetic integration, cyberpunk kind of themes where it's a so cyberpunk, a lot of the time it's cleaner, slicker, right? Famine doesn't need that. He's very arrogant, so it can be very dirty, like as long as it's functioning kind of cyberpunk stuff where it's flesh is hanging off, but the machine parts keeping the body alive, toiling at what can be pointless tasks. What perpetuates himself is suffering, toil, greed. So any kind of easy way to get that done, efficient way, that's what he perpetuates. And so in issue 4, we are diving into that territory and we're exploring 4 very specific aspects on that in a slight retelling of the 4 sides of the Buddha mixed with Dante's Inferno. We're going through layers of hell, but we're experiencing it like Siddhartha learned about life outside the palace. We're waking Jack up to what he let happen. And with that, and issue 5 and 6 we'll be very much kind of figuring that out together and seeing what light we can find at the end of the tunnel and seeing how we can push through it.
Nice. I like the spelling of famine.
Yes, so we try to do that a little bit. War has 2 R's. Plague is PLEGG, right? And death is like mega death, DETH. We wanted to have them have that extra little flavor to them because, of course, we wanted them to look iconic, to be you recognize them right away as what they are, but we wanted to very much communicate that these are our expressions of these ideas. They aren't like the exact horsemen of revelations. They're not the exact pop culture explorations of them. They'll have aspects of that, but they're very much our personal expressions of what they mean and the mechanics of reality that they influence.
A reincarnated immortal wanders through galactic Armageddon seeking purpose and freedom. Cool.
Yeah, it's been the tagline. I like to try and engage the imagination because hopefully you go in when you're actually reading it with that open mind. If you're going in expecting a direct action cybernetic cowboy book, you may not get what you want out of it. There's going to be aspects of it, of course. We all the tropes I use are used very specifically. So we didn't just throw the Western because it looks cool. It's because it communicates a very specific ideal of Americana, American experience, and as an ideal, much like the Horseman, the cowboy has its own flavor and idea in the zeitgeist, in the consciousness of the greater consciousness. And so that's kind of what it does. And I try very hard not to mislead people with this because it is a thought experiment book. It has action aspects, it has adventure aspects, but at the end of the day, it hopefully leaves you thinking and maybe with a bit of hope.
The story in issue number 4. That's pretty neat. Yeah.
There's Famine himself and some of what he has what he's accomplished. I just didn't want to use that term.
Issue 4 takes inspiration from an ancient tale of awakening to empathy, understanding, and the actions the world needs. It faces galactic Armageddon with an open heart and a bold attitude. Together with these tools, nothing will stand in our way. Booking production as campaign runs.
Yes, indeed. So we are, if we do not fund, folks aren't going to stop hearing from me until we do.
Issue 4X. Oh, Nate. Love the horses, too. And the motorcycle.
Yes, yes. Again, it was that healthy sense of dramatic, and as we revealed in issue 3, those horses, they were kind of folks might have caught in issue 2 as well, is that there was a cybernetic rabbit that was kind of hanging around Jack for a chunk of time. Jack had made these. As the world basically killed itself, nearly completely wiped out everything on it, the Horsemen basically brought it to that point, both facing each other and trying to conquer humanity. It pretty much killed off all animal life. So Jack, being this immortal who's lived a very long time in reincarnation, has known animals, walked alongside them for a very long time. And so he made these near immortal, indestructible robot forms to kind of be living statues, memories, to live on the planet forever if possible. And it was kind of his love letter to that which was gone and could not be recovered. And so those two he keeps alive. They tend to keep finding him, those two horses.
This one image in the lower right almost reminds me of makes me think of like an homage to the classic Akira cover.
It was indeed. So I didn't write that. Max is like, oh, I know this scene. I know how I want to do it. And he knows that we're diving into a cyberpunk dystopia where it's machine and man. Big chunk of our Akira has that bit in it. And so he's like, I'm doing this panel from Akira. And I was like, yes. So yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Whoa.
And then the next bit, of course, I had written 2 separate pages, and he's like, you know what? I want to open this up with a big double page spread because that's what I have in mind for these scenes that you set up. And I'm like, yes.
Yes,
So that's what he did. Yeah, exactly. No, again, he's an incredible storyteller, just incredible. And my stuff is there, the intention's there, the moods and the dialogue is there, but what he's able to do with it on the visual end is why you work with an artist.
Yeah. Dang, you can see a huge sense of perspective.
Yes. He works about 95% traditionally as well. We were able to offer 4 original pages on this campaign. We're going to probably offer 1 more if it is done before the campaign ends, and it looks like we're going to fund. If we don't fund, we'll actually probably be offering the rest of his original pages through ironversecomics.com if folks are interested in having a piece of Galactic Armageddon and helping a wonderful talent keep growing and, keep feeding his family.
Heck yeah. I mean, that's like the whole point to have an
Yes.
opportunity to pursue your passion and still make a living off of it.
Exactly.
Perks issue number 4. And these same perks are detailed in the right-hand side as well, right?
Oh, of course.
All right, cool.
So same information when you folks click on them. Of course, the add-ons are also below that list, but the add-ons are pretty simple. Once you click in, you can get a full 24 by 36 kind of full-on poster size of the Jackie Irons print by Illustrator Monk, which is down at the bottom. You can get a metallic bookmark that's exclusive to the campaign. We sell a few of those same bookmarks on ironversecomics.com if folks want to test it out first, but you won't have the same artwork on it that we will on the campaign. We have these misprint issues too. So if folks want to get issue number 4 and are just like readers, you can totally snag issues 1 through 3 through add-ons of these misprint books. And so the misprints is a long journey with the printer. I won't get too far into that journey, but we ended up keeping an original printing of those that were misprinted. They weren't. So when I first looked at them, I thought they were perfect. And eventually, once that high of having these new books in kind of wear down, I was like, you know what? I should look at these
kind of
next to our previous printing. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, let me look at these next to our previous printings. And so I did that. And then when I did that, I could tell that there was what my fan base is called pixel jiggliness. It's a little bit of looseness on the digital printings that it's completely unnoticeable unless you are really looking close, and again next to another example, but it wasn't up to the quality standards that I had expected and spoke with the printer on. So through a certain journey, we were supposed to get those books back to that printer, but the shipping company shipped them back to my fulfillment folks, and so the printer's like, fine, just keep them. And so we have these other misprint printings of these original 3 books, and so they're all profit on us. And so if you want to snag them that way just as readers, please do. We have a misprint bundle. You can get 5 of each issue for $45 in shipping. It's a great way to provide books to folks who may not be collectors and just want to read something and then not worry about it. And of course, it's pure profit for us. It's really helpful because we didn't pay for those books.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's unfortunate when it happens, but at the same time, you can look at it the other way and go, well, we got them. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, the printer's like, you can do whatever you want with them, burn them, sell them, whatever. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, cool. It seems like a lot of printers are understanding, especially when they know they're at fault.
Yep.
That's cool. You got a little pie chart, as you mentioned before.
Yep. Some people don't need it. Some people do. This is the first time I put it in, just so this is the most we've asked for on my campaign, right? So I wanted to make sure folks understand exactly where everything's going, and that's where it needs to be. In fact, I've already put in a couple K myself to lower that goal. And I don't expect to make that back. I do this out of love and passion and needing to tell a story and take care of these wonderful talents and keep getting them work. So I just wanted to communicate, we make a premium professional comic at a creator owned level. And so we ask for what we need, nothing more, certainly not less. Couldn't do it if we asked for less.
Oh yeah. Reader free online comics. So online, do you actually have issues 1 through 3 in digital form?
So issue number 1 has always been free to read in many different ways since we started. I've always made sure, because of the esoteric nature of the work, that folks can actually experience it for themselves instead of having to rely on word of mouth or simple visuals to put a good chunk of change behind a comic. So that is still available through Ironverse Comics. But if you link there, you'll be drawn to Global Comics, which also hosts issues 2 and 3. Most of issue 2 is available for free, but you can't finish it without the subscription, and then issue 3 is paywalled. But you can get all 3 issues also for $3 a piece through Wicked Publishing, or you can join our Patreon for $1 and just download them straight on. So there's always ways to get a hold of our books. I never want to put a barrier between the reader and our work, because again, I do it to communicate and to share this passion and this work I love. Not so much for profit, though. I try and put profit there so we can continue to grow and continue to do cool stuff.
Yeah. At a certain point, you gotta factor in profit. So
bingo.
You can, apply anything extra stuff you earn towards the next campaign.
Exactly.
Example figure from prior campaign. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I charged about twice as much as I did last campaign for these. I hand paint these and I ship them out with a certificate of authenticity. I actually stream the painting process. It can be up to 7 hours per figure. And so folks can interact and watch me do that and all of that. This is the last time I'm going to do it, particularly with this figure. So if folks want to jump on it and put that premium price I asked for it, I am happy to do it. And so far, one person has, so I'm at least painting 1 figure if this succeeds. And I'm happy to do it. I've been a model painter for quite some time, do wargaming. The other thing that might folks might feel in Jack Irons, and it's more of an esoteric. So Samurai Jack is a big one where it's a individual who is trained by many cultures to face a giant evil for the greater of all. That's a big theme in Jack Irons as well. The same kind of feel. How we handled that, however, is close to Warhammer 40K with their 4 gods of chaos. Our 4 horsemen have a lot in common with the gods of chaos from Warhammer and Warhammer 40K, because of my history with the wargaming and my love of their ridiculously in-depth lore.
How tall is this?
That's about 4 inches. It's a 4-inch figure.
Okay. Well, that's
Resin
not bad.
also, if folks are interested, 4-inch resin figure.
Resin. Okay. That was my next question.
Oh, good. All right.
Yeah. Does the stand either say on the side edge or on the bottom, his name and the book he's in?
I could do that, but no. In this
Right.
case, I did the classic wargaming. I just put the brown circle to go with the base, right? But I could absolutely do that on request from anybody if I was paying them. Absolutely, and that's a good idea. In fact, I didn't think of that.
So, does the glue do a good job holding all this dirt and gravel on?
Yes, it does.
Oh,
It's
wow.
actually simple watered down Elmer's glue. It's how you do terrain pieces for wargaming. It's the same deal.
Watered down Elmer's glue, really?
Yes, indeed, and you spray it on. There's spray adhesives that you could use as well that would work good, but watered down Elmer's glue actually kind of soaks into it and then holds it down. And the harder part, honestly, is on these figures that I noticed was finding the right glue to adhere the figure to the base. That was a lot harder than getting the flocking, as you'd call it, on the base. But I think it was the resin material. In fact, was like I tried plastic glues, I tried super glues, I tried a couple different kinds of glues. Eventually, it ended up being a combination that worked. But it was interesting with those resin. It was a unique experience for me for sure.
Are these all 3D printed?
Yes.
Is there a way to have him attached to the base from the get-go, or would that make it harder to paint?
It would make it harder to paint for one, but also I think I bet there is a way. But it's harder to ship that way as well, right? So how I got the figures were pieces, and then I would assemble them, and
All
they
right.
paint. I would paint them, assemble them, then attach them to the base, and then I would very carefully ship them. Very fragile little guy, especially those gun barrels were kind of infuriating. They're a little too small, in my opinion. In any redesigns we do down the line, I'd like thicker gun barrels. And we did do one new compensation for this second wave of figures that I'm hopefully going to be printing, where the arms are actually disattached when they're shipping to me. Before it was only 3 pieces: the cape, the base, and the figure. And now it's 5 pieces, both arms, the cape, the figure, and the base, and that should alleviate my original issue with the gun barrels, but they're still a little fragile in my opinion. But nothing handling like it's not an action figure; it's totally just a standy art piece.
Sure.
As long as it's treated as such, shouldn't be any worries.
That's nice.
Thank you.
Illustrator Monk pinup. Oh,
yes.
Man.
So that's the Jackie Irons piece that each physical tier will get you, except for issue number 1. So each of the issue 4 or 1 through 4 physical tiers will get you one of the 3 pinups on offer. You can add on the Jackie Irons pinup in a 24 by 36 if you'd like, or you can add on all 3 pinups so you're not getting a random one. Each of our campaigns we have offered random pinups so that folks kind of might have interest in buying the other pinups down the line if they didn't get the one they wanted. Or you can pay a little bit more and get all 3.
Okay, I guess he's resting his arm on his leg.
Yeah, that's what I'd say.
At first, I thought he was grabbing something down here on the side of the bike.
Yeah,
on the side of the tank. Hannah Davis pinup.
With our pinups, I've always tried to source from the indie community, usually smaller creators who do really cool work.
Yeah.
Illustrator Monk's one of them. And BoogieBot, he has a wonderful project called Robert. And when I went back to that and just loved his inking style and his colors, I had to work with him. And so far, I have not picked a bad group of people. I've worked with quite a few. I worked with Von Klaus and Narwhal back in the day on a pinup where actually Rise Again himself did the line art, which is kind of fun. It was a cover of it was an homage to the old Jonah Hex series Hex, where he was sent to the future. So we did that piece, and of course Narwhal's colors were great on it. I worked. Who else did I work with on that campaign? I worked with Pat Nod, who was an amazing fan. He did some of the coolest fan art of Jack during that campaign, so I had to reward that. Vincent Rush did the inks on that piece, and then Josh, the amazing animator, did the colors. I was trying to, with the first campaign in particular, slam a bunch of people together that wouldn't normally work together to see what would happen. And there's some cool stuff came out of it. But
For sure.
stuff, I've been blessed that none of those things were a headache or a heartache, and that can very much occur. It can. So I warn folks, like, don't be scared to work with people, but every step of the way, make sure you're understanding what's going on and they understand what the expectations are, because I have seen so many projects fail and heartache happen because folks either are blinded by opportunity or take on too much work, or there's just so many different angles that can go wrong. And it's just an experience knowing the red flags on that and being able to work around them, work through them, or find another opportunity to jump into instead.
Sure, absolutely. Man, such cool stuff. Let's check out these perks here. I always love when there's a featured tier because it's kind of like the best bang for your buck, and it's a good intro for anyone who's skimming through campaigns and just don't have the time to dedicate to, browsing through the entire campaign.
Exactly.
So this is issue number 4. Do you say it's 48 pages?
Yes.
All right. This is the book alone, right?
It's the book, a 11x17 pinup, a sticker, and a digital copy of the book, along with any digital extras we include. In this case, we will be including a 16-page digital ash can of our second series, Cactus Coyote, and a digital copy of a third series that's kind of an introductory. I think it's going to be 6 pages to that series as well. So you're getting another 22-page digital with any of these digital tiers. Yeah, we're doing a lot here. I have a lot of awesome creators I work with. And we really believe in this project, and we want to give folks the biggest bang of their buck in us doing what we love to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ironverse Comics, is it you and a bunch of core creators who formed this company, or is it solely you right now?
I've definitely been the rallying point, no question. But at the moment, I have 2 other. I have a lot of creators attached in various capacities, but in terms of titles that are in motion. So when I came up with Jack Iron Steel Cowboy, and before it was Ironverse Comics, I had originally wanted to do kind of a heavy metal space Justice League, almost a bunch of superheroes from Western tropes coming together to oppose the Horsemen throughout reality, right? That was my original kind of bit. Jack was just kind of the bit that resonated the most with me and the story that I knew I could tell. I've written many other scripts for other characters. We meet one of them, Tracker, Earth's top predator in issue 3, another immortal, except without being burdened with past life memories. So he's just he seeks to be the top predator of the universe, and that means he has to oppose the Horsemen as well. He has to be stronger than them. Cactus Coyote is a alien shapeshifter who alien shapeshifting smuggler. He's got an extra dimensional pocket in his stomach, so he can swallow anything up to a starship. It's by the wonderful mangaka Dollar Coins. You can read his manga, his 42-page manga, for free on our site as well, if folks want an introduction to that character. The ash can that we were presenting with issue number 4 is actually more in the Western style to resonate more with Jack Irons fans. He was an experiment of Plagues. Plague was dumping bio waste and anything that he wanted into him. Cosmic Plague was. And he escapes that and tries to carve his own world. He's, as he calls himself, he's a legitimate businessman, but he's a smuggler. He moves things that shouldn't be moved from one place to another. And it is a comedy. It's our comedy title, indeed. And it's based more, again, it's influenced more by manga than Jack is. Jack is definitely more of a Western tale. It's got some manga pacing because I prefer that pacing, but it's definitely not to the same level as Dollar Coin's work. So he wrote, drew, inked all of the manga, but he's working with Andrea Boscolo and Stephen Cannon, the colorist for Jack Irons, on the Ashcan that is actually the first half of the first issue of Cactus Coyote. And then we've got another title that I'm keeping kind of close to the chest, but I revealed an image of today on stream earlier that has manifested. That's been pretty neat. It takes place during Famine's original kind of, he got hold of Earth for a chunk of time, but then he lost it very quick. And so he scrambles to get his power back. And in doing so, he gives his other brothers a lot of power and ends up putting Earth into that perpetual stalemate of the three. And so it takes place during that and helps breathe life into humanity's struggles before the real apocalypse hit, which again, if you read issue number 2, it explains a lot of the world building in that, and folks will see where that's placed if they check out that issue. But there's other titles in the works. There's Stephen Hugh the Golden Monk, which approaches the Ironverse comics from more of an Eastern perspective than Jack's Western perspective. There's Lady Silverado, War's Sword, which is a child of the Horsemen trying to escape that shadow and be something better. And our goal at the end of the day is to not only tell these very specific stories with these very specific goals and intents, but then to interweave them into a greater narrative that's almost closer to originally, again, I had thought of like a Justice League or something like that, but it's grown more into, if folks familiar with One Piece, a gathering of crewmates to oppose these folks in space. And I'm very excited to get there. It is a long time till we get there. There's a lot of effort, and we're going to go as far and as long as folks will let us. I often get asked if there is an end to Jack Irons. People are usually curious if this is a mini series, a maxi series, an ongoing. What is it? It is an ongoing that'll go on as long as possible, but we do have an ending to Ironverse comics, and when we get there, we'll know it, and we have the ending, the final message, the last heartbeat of it all. And hopefully I actually don't get to see it happen. I hope this goes on for a very long time and gets passed on to many different writers and creatives, because that's what we're trying to do here. And so far I've been able to. So as long as folks are into it, we'll keep doing it.
Oh man, nice. All these Ironverse Comics titles, are they all in a shared universe?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And shared narrative, shared history. In fact, they affect each other quite strongly. The two that are the first along, of course, are Jack Iron Steel Cowboy, which takes place, of course, throughout human history. But the main bits with Jack is about 2076 to about 2090, I think. And Cactus Coyote takes place about 2092, I want to say, and on. So there's about a 20-year gap between Cactus and Jack that we are filling. And when they meet, the greater cosmic universe of what Ironverse Comics is doing will 100% make sense. And I think folks won't see that bridge because of the difference in tone between Cactus and Jack is a trip. I do interweave some humor, some levity into what I'm discussing because it's just a necessity. He approaches it more as like this down on his luck. He takes things lightly because of that. It's a coping mechanism, and it's a wonderfully different expression to his writing. He's got 20 arcs planned. He has about 15 of them written. So we're just waiting for the funny. I mean, we've got the foundations going. We're just waiting for it to hit if folks are interested in it. And if it's a long grind that he and our teams and myself have to push to get it going, we're gonna do it. But if folks will help us along, again, will help us face Galactic Armageddon, it will go quicker, and we have the foundations for it to be bi-monthly if we wanted. We could pump out quite a bit of work. We're just waiting to somehow manifest the energy to do it. With Jack, it's about 10K per title just to get the artistic ends and most of the printing done. So it's not an easy endeavor for some nearly uneducated kid out of northern New Mexico. But it's something that we've been able to make headway in, which in and of itself is kind of a wonderful thing.
For sure. After the featured tier, we've got the digital copy of issue number 4.
Yep, absolutely. And of course, you'll be getting those same extras I spoke of with the full solid. So you'll be getting issue number 4 and then the 2 shorter side in-universe comics, Cactus Coyote, and then the other title whose name is still being teased. We'll probably reveal the title and a lot more as the campaign goes on. I'm trying to keep that as maybe an extra little teaser. I'm trying to keep this campaign needs consistent movement because it's not getting explosive movement, and we've been able to keep consistent movement so far. So I'm hoping to continue that. And that's one of the angles I'm working on.
Yeah. Now we've got issue 1. Now,
yes, so we had some extras of issue number 1 issue 1 and number 2 from the prior printings. So I was able to offer not only the 1 through 4 bundle of that, but then I was able to separate and offer the number 1 for folks who just want to dive in, get this exclusive variant cover from the last campaign, and help us out on that level. So you get that, you get the issue number 1, and then you get the issue number 1 digital as well.
Now we got a digital bundle with.
Of course, you get all 4. Yeah.
Oh, all 4. Okay.
Yep, you'll get all 4, and then of course the other bonus comics I've been talking about.
Sweet. And then issues 1 through 4 bundle. These are the physicals.
Those are the physicals, yes, indeed. So you'll get those 4. You'll get the pin up. You'll get the sticker, and of course the digitals as well, of all 4.
Wow. And then we've got the misprint reader tier.
Yeah. 1 through 3, you'll get 5 of each. So if you want to give them away, share them, help us spread the word of what we're doing. That's the tier to do it.
5 of each. Oh,
yes.
All right.
Yeah, because again, these were basically free books for us. So we'll get them out there.
Wow.
Again, they're not at our quality standard that we wanted. So that's a way to just get a hold of a bulk of them if you believe in what we want to do and want to spread the word. That's a great way to do it.
Oh, very cool. Issue number 4 and standee.
So you'll get a 4-inch wooden standee. A lot of people doing the acrylic. The company I was working with also does wood. So I was like, you know what? That's kind of more on brand for what I want to do than the acrylic. And so it will be the BoogieBot pinup, except, transparency around it, make it look nice, and about 4 inches tall. Alongside issue 4, your 11 by 17 pinup, the sticker, and the digital.
Wait, transparency on wood?
So no, the image is the transparency that'll then be cut out on wood.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And do you have an image on that? Maybe on the updates tab?
No. It is that BoogieBot pinup. It would just be cut out. I haven't gotten to it yet because honestly, I'm not sure if we'll get funded, and the person I'm working with on that has been kind of busy.
Okay.
So figuring that out. But yeah, as soon as I can. I did get acrylic test printings of it, so I've been kind of I've showed those off before. They were half the size I wanted, and they were square of the pinup, right? So they're kind of misleading if I was to share those, but I have worked with the company and they delivered stuff, so I'm very happy with them. I'm just waiting. Honestly, I should really nudge this individual a little bit closer to get that image.
Yeah. Let me see something here. That's a neat idea. Wooden standees.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about that now. Hand-painted figurine, which you went over, which was...
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, you will get the issue and the pin-up and all that stuff as well. And we sold out of the original art that we've offered so far, which was really nice.
So there are 2 pieces of original art. And were these, they're different sizes. Was one of them like 11 by 17 and the other?
Yeah, I believe, again, the pages are called A4, which is the smaller, and A3, which is the larger. So those 2 are examples of it, but we offered 4 pages. So once the campaign's done as well, so it says in the tier to contact me, or I'll be contacting those folks once we fund, so we can go through the pages that are available and you can pick out what you want, and we can make sure it's shipped to you at the best way we can do it. And of course, it's the page you would like.
Nice.
We will be, hopefully, if it is done before the campaign finishes, and it looks like we're going to fund, we will be offering the cover to issue number 4 as well as the final original page offered this go. But we're waiting for that to see how things are moving.
Very sweet. Refresh me on the BoogieBot image.
Okay, so it's all the way at the bottom where I kind of go over the sticker and yeah, there you go. So it should be right below Jackie Irons. It's that piece.
This one?
Yes, it's that piece, but of course it will have a transparency around Jack instead of being a square piece. Yeah, it's about 4 inches, so it's about as big as our figures are. So it would be recognizable at a relative distance, but you know it's not going to be insanely like big.
All right. Oh, I love how his motorcycle breathes smoke.
That was all BoogieBot. That was all he wanted to. He couldn't fit the horses in there, and he still wanted to do a biker image. So he's like, you know what? I'm gonna put the horse head on the bike, and I was like, that's fine. We've had if you go to ironversecomics.com, click on fan art. We've had like 200 pieces of fan art done for us, and I love seeing the different interpretations of Jack.
Really?
And so that was part of it with the pinup. I was like, yeah, it's kind of Jack is as a character is supposed to be, you know, almost a caricature of the human experience, and so everybody has a right to express that how they want. And so that's always been how I worked with folks and how I've approached the comic itself and how the team does things. It's how I've approached the communities. It's because it is a collaborative effort. And if I don't honor the energy and intent behind it, then I'm not doing it justice. And it's super important to me to do it justice the best way we can. And that was just one of the manifestations of it, right? And the double page spread coming from what 2 pages I wrote separately, that's another manifestation of it. The beautiful fan art that we've gotten before, that's one of them as well. You taking the time to talk to us about it is another one, and I really appreciate it, by the way. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Oh my gosh.
And so that's kind of what we're doing. This project's a little bit more esoteric than some, but in that it's got a bit more magic to it, in my opinion, than some.
Yeah, this is a trip. I love it.
That's the word I often use. It's a trip.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm blanking on it now, but the main character, the feel of it all reminds me of an old game that was released by Lucasfilm, I think in the 80s.
Oh, Full Throttle?
Yeah,
that's come up quite a few times. One of Tim Schafer's originals. Yeah, a lot of people see that, and it's wonderful. If I ever did a Jack video game, somehow that happened, and the IP was actually interested, I would want a point and click adventure in that style.
Oh my god,
it's the only way to experience how we need to tell our stories. And but yeah, Full Throttle. That is a very good catch, and I'm glad that came out.
I love that game. I want to find a way to go back and play it. I
think they did a remastered one. I think is available on Steam actually.
Really?
Yes, I believe so. So yeah, go look at. I mean, they're rarely above $10 for those old adventure titles that they remaster, so it shouldn't be a hard grab either.
Yeah, I really got to check that out because I've been so wanting to play that.
Oh, and I'm a big fan of like Sam and Max and a few of those other point and click adventure titles. Sam and Max for the writing, it cracks me up. It's so good. And so it's like super intelligent comedy writing, and I'm just always behind that. But Full Throttle had a lot of that too. A lot of the Tim Schafer stuff has that vibe, which I so very much appreciate.
Yeah, it had such a great mood to it, and the artwork was amazing. I felt.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and play the trailer once more, and then we'll
thank you.
Things down.
Yeah, that's me. Dollar Coins bought a program, shared it with me, and that's me figuring it out after a good chunk of time. But and of course, Laguna Muta is doing the backing track. Very much adds the whole flavor. It'd be kind of useless without that backing track, honestly.
So you did the trailer yourself, huh?
Yes, I did the editing and all
nice.
That. So it's kind of rough. It's not as good as I could do. I did a trailer 3 as well, and I'm trying to decide which one needs to stay up on the campaign. Right now, it's that one, which I like. It gives the mood and it utilizes most of our animations that we've commissioned. But the other trailer more tries to sell the book, so I'm trying to figure out which one to use still. But once I do, it'll be the one that's up there. The first trailer I did is me just kind of talking to folks and pitching it, and I was so stiff and awkward. I'm so glad I don't have to cringe through it on these shows anymore.
All right, let's watch the cringe version now.
Yes. Well, it's up on the channel if you want. I'm happy to share it, but I definitely swapped it out for a bit of a reason.
It looks like you had your pets do all the work.
In a few different things on my channel, they do quite a bit of the work. In fact, I did a gaming stream last night. They did a lot of the work.
Oh yeah, what were you gaming?
I was doing West of Dead, I believe, last night, which is a indie title. It's a roguelike, kind of like Dead Cells or a few other
Oh,
games. But Ron Perlman does the voice, and it's like a cowboy Ghost Rider character design with a Mike Mignola kind of art style.
really?
Beautiful soundtrack. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it was. I think it's still on sale on Steam for like $8, and I've more than gotten my worth out. It was a lot of fun. But
Nice.
super moody, and that's what I was doing. I was just having fun with that last night. I think I was on part 4. It was like my 7th run or something through it. But yeah.
So you've already passed it?
No, roguelites are like you get a certain point and then you get killed and then you got to start over.
All right.
So that's what that was. So I haven't, I have not gotten through. I'm stuck on a certain boss. So you do the same things again and again, but it's randomly generated levels. And so, so each arena is randomly generated, and then you kind of go through that. They have the same tile sets, so they'll call it like the farmlands, or they'll call it the church or whatever, and so it'll have those set pieces, but they'll be put together randomly, each go through, and then as you get further you unlock more arenas and then certain bosses, and then it's got a little bit of Metroid or Zelda to it, where you unlock different abilities that'll let you go to different parts of those maps. And then I haven't beaten it yet. I've done again like 7 or 8 runs where you go to completion, then they kill you and you got to start over. I haven't beaten it yet. I put about 8 hours into it, most of it on stream, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
When you get killed, you have to start from the very, very beginning of the entire game.
Yes. That's the concept. Yeah, that's the concept. And so it's randomly generated. So you're doing a lot of actions. You're getting better weapons as you go. You'll get you pay souls or whatever to unlock better weapons and better gear and abilities, and then you can take those into your next run. So you'll have better chances on the next go. So you grow as you're getting punished, but you still like have to start from the beginning and going through those original tile sets again. Again, randomly generated, so it is a new experience every time. But that's the concept. It's been a relatively popular genre for a while, and this was the one that kind of resonated with me the most. Another title I played quite a bit, which was 2D side scroller instead of isometric shooter like West of Dead is, was Dead Cells. But there's a lot of Spelunky's a game like that, if anybody's familiar with that. I think Hollow Knight is like that. There's a couple games that like that's been a trope. I forgot which game started that trend. I think they're called roguelikes because there was an old PC game named Rogue that used it, but nobody really remembers that game. I forgot what the game was that actually like put it in the public consciousness and had a lot of people like emulate the style. But it's been pretty fun. It's been pretty fun. But I've done a lot of gaming streams on my channel. It's just something to do, to be there for folks to interact and
Nice.
talk about whatever, all of that. It's just fun for me if I'm going to do something. If I'm going to relax and work and spend time doing a gaming or something, I might as well put down content on the channel as well.
That's my view. I do gaming streams too, but I've been playing Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic too.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. I passed the first KOTOR as a Jedi, and then as a Sith, being as evil as possible, and then I did the same on KOTOR too. I found no matter what, I'm trying to a certain degree, appease my crewmates so that I can interact with them.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can't exactly be overly evil.
Yeah.
Otherwise they'll stop talking to me.
Yeah, that's the problem with that. I played a lot of Jade Empire back in the day. I really appreciated that one. And I played Mass Effect as well, which kind of has those vibes. I've started the original KOTOR a couple times. It's really enjoyable. It's just I have a terrible attention span, so a lot of these longer RPGs I just don't stick with, which is honestly to my detriment. But it's just how it goes.
Let's see. Let's play this trailer here.
Oh, sure. So you'll have to go to Ironverse Comics on YouTube, and there's probably a couple videos in if you want to see either my cringe trailer or trailer number 3.
What do you recommend out of
issue? I would like to see. I'd like to hear your opinions on the difference between 2 and 3, because again, I'm trying to decide which one to have up. I'd love to hear
let me
that.
see. Which one is going to be 3?
I don't know if it'll show up in the recommended.
Let's,
I do not know. So you might have to, you might have to go to my my channel to show it off.
let's see. This is issue number 4, trailer 2.
Yes, and so we're looking for Jack Iron Steel Cowboy issue 4, trailer 3, or again, I think I called it issue number 4, launch trailer, which is the cringe one.
Actually, maybe we can go to videos. Maybe.
Yeah, it should just be on the next page of uploads on my home there. Happy to link it in private chat too, if that would help.
Either, let me see. Oh wait, that's Iron Verse interviews. Persona over Iron Voice comic plays comic. Huh. Let me see. So
I did place it in a private chat.
all right, let's go that route.
Yeah.
It'll take forever to find it. All right, there we go. Copy.
Yeah, I've put out hundreds and hundreds of videos at this point, so I don't blame you. Mostly for me, but it's fun.
That's not bad. I think I like the one you have on the page right now.
Yeah, he did. That's you know.
Stream sniping.
It auto played. I think I like the one on the campaign page better.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the input. Because I've been wrestling with that.
Yeah, I mean, I like them both, but like, I think there's too much time spent on the welcome to sign, and that wavy effect was kind of bothering my eyes.
All right. No, you're the second person who brought that up. You're second person who did. Yeah. Okay. The shaky cam. Second person who brought up the shaky cam. All right. That's good to know. I'm learning.
A little too long.
Okay.
I loved every effect whenever he was smoking and you saw the smoke rising
yes.
from his cigar. And on both of them, I love this scene that you see here with the train, and you see the rickety little train going across. And I think it looks like it's supposed to turn around the corner.
Yeah, she tried that so hard. She tried that so hard. I watched it. She made an original attempt to try and you know, she's emulating somebody else's art style, right? First off, which is so difficult. And then she tried to make it so that it would loop perfect because she likes to do the GIF kind of effect, so it loops perpetually. And we just couldn't with that piece. So it cuts off more abruptly on that piece. So it doesn't last as long, but it still came out so good.
But what I like about it is even without it doing an endless loop, I like the fact that it had that cute little rickety effect, like it's going on wooden tracks, and it seems like it's perfectly timed. Where just as you expect it to start rounding the corner, it cuts off and goes to the next scene. And
yeah.
I think that works out really well.
Cool.
And even if it wasn't intentional, I think that alone is great. I think that works really well.
Right on. Well, thank you so much for the input. Cool. Yeah, because I am not a video editor, but I got to dabble in whatever tools I can use, right, and to get this out. So that's one of the things I'm figuring out. And I along with the comics, any of our art bits, it's super important that this is a collaborative effort from myself and the community to figure this all out, because I can't do it alone. But I do need input, and getting input even like on the comic work itself is very, very difficult. I get a lot of folks who really enjoy it, but that doesn't tell me what they enjoyed. Some folks have been kind enough to actually provide criticism, which is exceedingly useful and very hard to find when you're putting out a good work. I've noticed that again and again, is most folks will just enjoy it or not tell you about it, but the folks will actually take the time to say, well, this is what I liked and this is what I didn't like. That's so exceedingly valuable in this medium when you as a creator, you have your head in the game for so long that you can miss a lot of things. You develop blinders, and so I value those inputs so very much.
Yeah. I think you mentioned on your website that there's actually a section where people can offer their feedback and such. So
yeah, absolutely. There's a messaging point if you want to do it there. There's comment sections that will actually display on the website permanently, unless it's something I gotta get rid of, which is always a possibility. And then there's you can email us ironversecomics@gmail.com. You can get a hold of us on any of the socials. ironversecomics.com has a contact section. We're pretty much on all the social media, so if you want to get a hold of us on any of your preferred platforms, it's usually you're getting a hold of me also. So hopefully I will continue to provide something useful in that exchange. I've always tried to help creators as well, so if there's any questions or any assistance or any experience I can provide, not only do I do that on the YouTube channel, I try and do breakdowns. I've been doing a series called Coffee, Cody, and Comics, about 12 episodes into that, where I discuss a specific topic to do with comics or that time, but I've done more personal videos. I've done a 3.5-hour breakdown of the journey to issue number 3, which kind of talks about everything that I've done and all the experiences I've gone through in doing comics. I want to be an asset for the indie comics community, wherever and however they find me. And because if I strongly believe you put out the good, the good will come back. And even if it doesn't, you are putting out good, and hopefully that good is at least getting paid forward. And so that's where I come from the comics creation end. It's where I come from the artistic end. It's where I come from personally. And it's important to me.
I think I'm just now seeing this. Is there literally a roller coaster?
Yes, and if you're watching the animation as well, the roller coaster moves and goes around that loop. She was able to pull that one off pretty good because it goes straight off screen, so that one can loop really nicely. But it was the train and that turn that was just a headache. She tried very hard. I think she bashed her head against the wall there for a little bit, and she figured out, no, I just can't do it. So we'll just do this.
My focus is always on the train. When that scene hits. So I think in my peripheral vision I was seeing the motion of the coaster, but I'm always fixated on the train.
Yeah, that was our second to last panel or third to last panel, I believe, on Jack issue 3. It was our cliffhanger hook panel. It was both Jack and the reader's first sight of a hellscape from one of the horsemen. So it was really important. It communicated some very specific thoughts, and that pointless entertainment bit, even the clown head, all of that. That's just like enjoy yourself. He rode into Los Faminis, as it's called. So it was. And that's where we meet that giant cyborg that you see and bust through the train tracks and all of that. In fact, you can see him in the background over there. So we hinted at him since issue 3. And you finally get to encounter him. And I don't think it'll go as people expect it. I think it'll go a lot better. So again, I've been holding on to the script for a while. I usually don't write scripts till we're about ready to go because I want them to be as contemporary as possible to how I'm feeling and the experiences I've gone through, and maybe the whole global vibe at that time. And so this one I've been waiting for a bit, and most of our scripts end up being more timely than I'd like in some cases. But in a way, that's part of what I'm doing. So I think as long as it resonates with folks, we can keep at this.
Is the name Feminist at all a play on the word Vamanos?
A little bit, but we were mainly like it's what famine did to Vegas once he got a hold of it. So it's Las Vegas, Las Faminis, yeah. So it turned it into a theme park of zombie cyborgs that really can't experience joy or anything. It's just a lot of pointless monotony and suffering and all that fun stuff.
For sure. Let me see here. And yeah, neat stuff. I dig it. Let me see.
Thank you.
So anyone who hasn't yet backed this campaign, please do. We want to see this thing get funded. If you have already backed it, well, thank you very much. Appreciate your support.
Yes.
And even if you have backed it, consider backing again. You know, you've got family and friends who are definitely going to want this book. So get them some copies too while you're at it.
Yeah, no, please do.
Back it once, back it twice, back it 3 times a lady.
Exactly. We actually got a donation in today for somebody who already backed but wanted to give us a little extra, which was really quite kind. We need all the help we can get for this. It's a bundle of insanity, but I think it's the right kind of insanity, and it's the kind I think the world may not know it needs, but that it might need.
Welcome, Rob's Rolling Crack.
Love it.
And if at this time you don't have the means to back the campaign, please share it all over your social media. Let's get some more eyeballs on this. Greatly appreciate it.
Oh, and exactly. And if you have interest, but you don't have the means, again, we've mentioned it multiple times, but you can read issue number 3 or issue number 1 for free through ironversecomics.com and Global Comics. So you can always just test it out, see if it's for you and if it's worth your time and energy. And if you don't have it, you can at least support it and see what we're doing and maybe engage with us on the ways you can support it. And all of that is super appreciated. And it's the only way we've gotten this far so far.
Definitely. All right. Very cool project. I'm going to give you the floor, Cody. Would you share with the world how you can be found on social media?
All right. So the easiest way to find us is through ironversecomics.com. Up at the contact tab, it has lists and links to everything, including our Discord. The platform I am largest on and most interactive on is Twitter. You can find us there. At Ironverse Comics is my more personal account, or you can do at Cowboy_Steel, which is my oldest and largest account. Either one, you will reach me. You can also find us Ironverse Alert, which is the Famine Inc. kind of promotional account, which does all kinds of shameless shilling of independent projects, artwork, and other such things. Find me on YouTube, Ironverse Comics. I've been streaming near daily for quite a chunk of time. I'm always available there. I love to interact and maybe provide a bit of entertainment, a bit of thought for you. And I'm just grateful very much to you, the wonderful host, and to anybody who sees this later or saw it now and took the time to listen to my John. We can go on. I can go off and go on for a long time. So if people can bear with that, it's a hell of a thing. And just if you have the interest, please check out our work and let me know what you think. It's the way we can grow and improve.
Awesome. Excuse me. You can find me at my usual haunts. I'm at Twitter at WyzGyz Tweets, on Twitch at WyzGyz Entertainment, all one word. On YouTube, I'm at WyzGyz Entertainment. Just make sure WyzGyz is one word, WyzGyz. I want to thank everyone in the chat for joining us. You guys freaking rock. As always, I want to thank everyone who watches this on replay. And I wanted to give special thanks to the one and only Cody Fernandez for joining us today from Ironverse Comics.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you all for joining us. Appreciate it. Appreciate your support. And we shall see you on the next stream. Take it easy now. Bye.
Final guest is the only person below White Holiday in the Comicsgate phone book. It's my favorite failed clone of Peter Sammetti. The YouTube sensation. How you doing, Conrad? Welcome to the show.